The battlefield was silent now. Smoke floated in the air. The ground was black and broken. Spaceships were crashed, burning slowly. Alien bodies and human soldiers lay still, cold and lifeless. The war had ended, but the pain was still in the air. Near a destroyed alien tank, an armored figure lay half buried under metal. It was Zarnok, a Zelvok warrior. His body was not moving. His arms and legs were locked inside his battlesuit. His eyes were open, slowly blinking. He was alive, but completely paralyzed. Heavy footsteps echoed nearby. A group of Zelvak aliens appeared. They were from Zarnok's own unit. One of them looked at him, shook his head, and spoke coldly in their language. He is broken. Leave him. He is no longer a warrior. Another alien added. He failed the mission. He's useless now. They all walked away. No one looked back. Zarnok's eyes filled with quiet anger and sadness. He could not speak. He could not move. But he could still feel everything. A few hours later, human soldiers arrived in armored vehicles. They were collecting the dead, checking the area. One of them was a young man named Raiden. He was part of the cleanup crew. He walked slowly, his scanner checking for life signals. Suddenly, his helmet beeped. Beep, beep, beep. He looked to his left and saw a broken tank. Inside, something was glowing faintly. Raiden stepped closer and then he saw him, the alien warrior, still alive. Raiden froze. Zarnok's glowing eyes stared straight at him. He could not move, but his eyes, they were full of something powerful. Pain. Hope. A silent scream for help! Raiden's team leader called out from a distance. Find something? Raiden replied, still staring at Zarnok. Yeah? Something. Another soldier walked over and saw the alien. He laughed and said, That one. He's done. Leave him, said another. He's one of them. Let him rot. Don't. Raiden didn't answer. He kept looking at Zarnok. Inside Raiden's helmet, his AI assistant spoke in a robotic voice. Warning. Detected Zelvok Elite Class. Identity. Zarnok, of House Varnok. High-ranking combat unit. Status paralyzed. Raiden raised an eyebrow. Zelvak Elite? He whispered. The AI continued. This unit should not be abandoned. Zelvak Elites are highly respected. Abandonment is not normal. Raiden stepped back, confused. Why was he left behind then? He asked. The AI answered, Unknown. Raiden looked around. His team was far now. No one was watching him. He turned back to the alien. Zarnok's eyes were still on him. Not angry, not afraid, just out, waiting, as if asking silently, What will you do now, human? Raiden knelt down beside him. He could hear the soft breathing inside the suit. The alien was barely holding on. Raiden opened a small toolkit. He started checking the armor, looking for damage. It was advanced tech, half organic, half machine. He couldn't fix it now. But maybe, just maybe, he could save the life inside. Behind him, someone shouted, Raiden, let's move out. Area is clear. Looked up. The team was getting ready to leave. Raiden turned to Zarnok one last time. He could walk away. No one would blame him. No one would even know, but something deep inside him said no. This was not just a soldier. This was someone left behind by his own people. Someone who had fought, bled, and now had been forgotten. Raiden made a choice. He quickly opened his emergency medkit and attached a life support patch to Zarnok's chest. He activated a hover lift and carefully loaded the heavy alien body onto it. Raiden whispered, I don't know who you are, but I'm not leaving you here. As he walked toward his transport vehicle, carrying the injured warrior, his AI spoke again. Raiden, are you sure about this? Assisting an enemy soldier may break protocol? Raiden replied quietly, He's not my enemy anymore. Not today. Away, hidden in the shadows of a burned-out ship, a drone recorded everything. A red light blinked, transmitting the footage back to someone. Someone watching very carefully. The ship moved quietly through the night sky, far above the burnt battlefield. Inside the small medical chamber of the human transport, Raiden sat on a steel bench. Staring at the alien lying in front of him, Zarnok's body was still, only his. Chest moved, rising and falling with the help of the life support patch Raiden had placed. His eyes were closed now, resting, or maybe unconscious. Raiden didn't know why he did it. He wasn't the kind of soldier who broke rules. But something about those eyes, something in the way they refused to beg, had made Raiden stop. And once he had stopped, he couldn't walk away. Outside the chamber, voices echoed in the hallway. Raiden heard the words traitor, spy, and court-martial being whispered. He knew the others had seen what he did, saving a Zelvok. Warrior wasn't bravery to them, it was betrayal, but they didn't see what he saw. Zarnak wasn't just a soldier. He was something else, something important. And now he was here, helpless, damaged, but alive. Raiden knew he had to find out why. He stood and walked over to the side console. The armor scanner was running diagnostics. Zarnak's suit was fused into his nervous system, a technology far more advanced than anything humans had developed. But something had fried the connection. His brain still worked, but his body was lost. Raiden looked closer. It was something odd. A neural frequency buried in the helmet's memory drive. He tapped the console, trying to access it. The screen blinked. Then static. Then a message appeared. 4 words. Simple. Cold. Do not revive him. Raiden stared. The message wasn't from his system. It came from a remote Zelvok command. Code sent 2 hours ago. That was when he had picked Zarnak up from the battlefield. Do not revive him. Why? He looked at the paralyzed warrior again. There were no visible weapons on him. No threat, no poison, no bombs, nothing. Just a badly damaged body and a silent mind. Then Zarnak's eyes opened again. Slowly, blinking, Raiden stepped forward. Careful, you're awake. The alien didn't speak. Of course he couldn't, but his eyes moved, following Raiden. There was no panic, no rage. Just awareness, RAYDE, and reached for a small translation device and held it near Zarnak's helmet. If you can hear me, blink twice. Zarnak blinked twice. Raiden almost laughed, part relief, part shock. Okay, good. That's good. Pull the keyboard closer. Can you control anything? Even small eye movement. Zarnak blinked once. Raiden connected the keyboard to the translation device. It activated a virtual interface, projecting letters in front of the alien's eyes. Slowly, Zarnak started selecting letters. One by one, it took time, but soon, a word formed on the screen. Why? Raiden frowned. Why what? Another word. Appeared, save Raiden, exhaled slowly. I don't know. Maybe because no one else did? A pause. Then slowly Zarnak typed. Didn't fail. Raiden looked at the screen. Fail what? Your mission? Mission? Was secret, they knew. I saw Raiden's heartbeat quickened. He pulled a chair and sat down beside the bed. What did you see? There was a longer pause this time. Zarnak blinked hard as if trying to fight pain or memory. Then more words appeared. Forbidden device, black core humans. Built, a Raiden froze. Wait, are people? Built. What? Weapon. Bigger than war, they wanted me dead, my own kind? Fear to me suddenly. The medical lights flickered. Raiden stood up fast. He grabbed his sidearm and looked at the control panel. A warning light flashed. Unauthorized signal detected. Someone was trying to access the ship's system. He turned to Zarnak.
Did.
You send something? Zarnak blinked once, then slowly typed, there. Coming outside, in the black of space, a small Zelvok stealth pod uncloaked. It had no flags, no lights. Just one purpose. Inside, 2 masked aliens stared at a screen showing Raiden's ship. Target locked, back on the ship. Raiden began sealing doors. All right, he muttered, locking down the med bay. Whoever you are, you better not be lying to me. Zarnak blinked again, painfully slow. His next message took longer. I never. Lead then. Truth. Kill us both. The lights flickered again. Raiden pulled his helmet on. His AI spoke in his ear, voice tense now. Raiden, I just intercepted a coded signal. Zelvok elite assassin unit inbound. Estimated arrival. 5 minutes. Raiden whispered, how did they find us so fast? The message from his armor. They were watching. Raiden turned to Zarnok. You were bait. Zarnok blinked. Sorry. For the first time, Raiden saw something unexpected in those alien eyes. Not fear, but guilt, and a warning. The ship trembled. A low hum passed through the floor as Raiden grabbed the wall for balance. His eyes moved quickly, scanning the medbay. We could feel it. Something was outside, something fast, something hunting. Status, he shouted. His helmet still active. His AI responded at once. Unmarked Zelvok vessel approaching. No official ID. Weapons primed. They are not here to negotiate. Raiden looked down at Zarnok, still strapped into the medical bed. The alien's chest was rising faster now, his breathing more rapid. His eyes locked on the ceiling, as if he could sense the danger above them. Raiden leaned over. You told me the truth will kill us both, he said. But now I need to know it. What is Project Black Core? Zarnak blinked, slowly, painfully. His pupils dilated, a clear sign of memory flash. Then, with extreme effort, he moved his eyes to the interface. Words began to type, slow but steady. A weapon, not meant to end war, was made. To control peace, Raiden frowned. What does that mean? Zarnok typed more. Not destruction, obedience. Mind, override. Planet scale. Raiden's mouth went dry. Mind control? Of entire planets, Zarnok blinked once. Raiden stood back, stunned. He had heard rumors. Crazy, secret-level whispers about neural broadcast tech that could force people to think, feel, and even obey certain commands without knowing it. Everyone thought it was impossible. Myth. But what if it wasn't? And what if humans were building it? With alien help. The ship shuddered again. A red alarm blinked on the screen. Incoming breach, the AI warned. Hulper-Singh drone. Attached to starboard flank. Boarding protocol triggered. Raiden swore under his breath and ran to the control panel. Lock every door between here and the medbay. Shut down all non-essential systems. I want stealth now. He turned back to Zarnok. Listen, he said. They're coming to kill you. Probably me too. I don't know why I care anymore. I just know I'm not letting them take you. Zarnak stared at him, and for the first time, there was something almost human in that stare. Not pride, not superiority, just gratitude. Raiden grabbed his rifle and moved toward the hallway. The lights were dim now, silent. Only the soft hum of emergency power filled the air. Then, sound. Click. 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 He aimed his rifle. Out of the shadows. A figure appeared. Tall, wearing Zelvok armor, but darker, smoother, almost like shadow. Its face was hidden behind a curved black mask. No symbols. No emotion. It didn't speak, didn't warn. It moved fast. Rayden fired, but the figure dodged with alien precision. The blast hit the wall. A flash. The figure leapt, spinning, midair, and slashed the rifle with a plasma blade. Raiden dropped the broken weapon and rolled backward, pulling a sidearm. He fired 3 quick shots. 1 hit, 2 missed. The assassin stumbled for just a moment. It was enough. Raiden hit the override and sealed the hallway door behind him. He ran back to the medbay, locking the final blast shield. He knew it wouldn't last long. His breath heavy. He looked at Zarnok again. We need to move you, he said. But Zarnok typed only 1 word. 2. Late. Raiden didn't want to hear that. I didn't drag your heavy ass out. Of a death zone just to hand you over now? Zarnok kept typing. Memory core, inside armor, download. Give to humans who still question. Stop. Project. Raiden stared at the screen. You want me to rip out your brain? Zarnak blinked. Once. Raiden shook his head. No, there has to be another way. I'm already dead. You know this. Raiden turned away, fists clenched. The metal wall behind him rang like a drum. The assassin was slicing through it now. Sparks flew. The lock hissed and groaned. Raiden pulled a neural extraction kit from a nearby drawer. This is gonna hurt, he said. Zarnik's lips barely moved, but he made a sound. A weak, dry grunt. The closest thing to laughter a half-dead alien could make. Raiden worked fast. Wires plugged in. Memory banks lit up. Green lights turned red. The download had begun. The wall split open. The assassin stepped through the sparks. Raiden turned, ready to shield Zarnak, even with nothing but his fists. But the assassin paused. Slowly it lowered its blade, and then it spoke, not in alien tongue, but in perfect English. "You are a fool, Raiden." Raiden froze. The voice continued. "That memory. It doesn't save anyone. It condemns them." Raiden narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" The assassin removed the mask. It was human, older, scarred, with dead, cold eyes. "Peace isn't made with words," the man said. "It's made with control." Then he lifted the blade again, but the memory download was complete. Zarnak used the last bit of power in his armor to pulse the data into Raiden's suit. A direct transfer. A final message blinked on Raiden's visor. "Run." Raiden slammed the emergency teleporter on his wrist. A flash of light. He vanished. The assassin swung down too late. Zarnak lay there, motionless again. But this time he smiled, and then the room burned. The world snapped back into focus with a blinding flash. Raiden hit the ground hard, dust exploding around him. The emergency teleport had worked, but not gently. His body rolled twice before he came to a stop on rough rock and cold sand. His helmet HUD flickered, then stabilized. The air was thin, dry. The sky above was purple, choked with distant lightning storms. The planet was dead. No signs of life, no communication grids, no satellites, just silence. He coughed and stood slowly, turning in place. The land stretched endlessly. Cracked moon floated above, broken in two, hanging like a warning in the sky. Then his suit pinged. Data upload successful. Encryption active. Memory core secured. Raiden opened the file interface. Thousands of encrypted logs appeared: battle footage, command-level conversations, experimental blueprints, all connected to one name: Project. Black Korand. Now he was the only human who had it. He sat down on a jagged rock, staring at the flickering sky. Zarnak was gone, burned, sacrificed. And for what? The galaxy didn't even know what was coming. His own people were building a weapon that could control entire populations. And the only witness was a human soldier nobody trusted. Raiden pulled off his helmet and took a breath. The air burned his throat slightly, but it was breathable. He felt like screaming, but instead, he laughed, not out of joy but out of disbelief. "Of all the places to die," he muttered suddenly. A voice echoed. From his wrist comes distorted, robotic. "Unknown signal detected. Human life form confirmed. Do not move." Raiden stood up fast. "Who is this?" No answer. Then a low rumble behind him. A ship, small, fast, descended through the clouds. It wasn't military, no markings, just black metal and retractable wings. It landed with a heavy thud, kicking up a storm of dust. Raiden raised his weapon, what little was left of it. The ship's door hissed open. Out stepped a woman, human, late 30s, covered in dust, wrapped in a worn-out cloak. She had a rifle slung on her back and a scanner strapped to her wrist. "Relax," she said calmly. "I'm not here to kill you." Raiden didn't lower the weapon. "That's what the last guy said. Then he tried to slice me in half." She smiled faintly. "That wasn't me." He studied her. Sharp eyes, calm voice, soldier's posture, but not a regular soldier. She was something else. "Name's Kale," she said, stepping closer. "You've got something they want. Something they're willing to kill entire planets for." Raiden didn't answer. Kale sighed. "I know who you are, Raiden. And I know what Zarnak gave you." It made him pause. He finally lowered the weapon. "How?" She tapped her scanner. "We've been watching the project for a long time. Waiting for someone to survive long enough to tell the truth." Raiden looked away. Zarnak didn't survive. Kale's face softened. "He knew he wouldn't. That's why he picked you." Raiden turned sharply. "No, he didn't pick me. I was there. Kale shook her head. He looked into you and saw something the rest of us forgot how to see: a conscience. Before Raiden could respond, her scanner beeped. Kale looked down and frowned. They're tracking the data pulse. Raiden cursed under his breath. I thought it was encrypted. It is. But the pulse still exists. They don't need to read it. Just need to follow it. Raiden moved fast. We need to shut it down. Kale was already running back toward her ship. We need to finish the upload. There's a safe node hidden under the rock belt. If we reach it, we can send this to every resistant cell left across 5 sectors. Raiden followed her into the ship, strapping into a seat. Who are you really? He asked. Kale powered up. The engines, let's just say. I used to believe in peace, till I saw how they were planning to force it. The ship lifted off, fast and silent. As they flew low across the dead plains, Raiden stared at the flickering screens inside the cockpit. Footage from Zarnik's armor played back in fragments, scientists testing neural signals on alien prisoners. Politicians giving fake speeches while controlled by hidden implants. A massive machine being constructed in orbit around a red dwarf star. Raiden's stomach turned. This wasn't war anymore. It was programming. The ship suddenly jolted. Kale cursed. Drones. Multiple. They've found us. Raiden grabbed a side cannon and opened a hatch. Outside. Black-shelled machines. Flew in formation, sleek and silent. He fired, hitting 2, but more came. Kale dove the ship into a canyon. Rocks scraped the wings, sparks flying. The drones followed, swarming like insects. Raiden shouted over the noise, "We're not going to make it." Kale didn't blink. Yes, we are. Ahead, a narrow tunnel opened in the canyon wall. Flew straight toward it at full speed. Raiden shut his eyes. The ship barely squeezed through. Behind them, 2 drones smashed into the rock. A third one clipped the edge and exploded. They were through. The silence returned, broken only by the slow beeping of the scanner. Kale finally slowed the ship. 10 minutes to the node, she said. Raiden looked at her, then at the file inside. His HUD, he asked quietly. What happens if we send it? Kale's voice dropped. We spark a war inside the one already happening. She looked at him, and this time, people will have to choose. The tunnel walls flashed past like blurred lightning. Kale's ship flew deeper into the underground system. The only light coming from the soft blue glow of emergency navigation strips on the cockpit glass. Raiden sat tense beside her, gripping the edge of his seat. His mind kept going back to what Kale had said. We spark a war inside the one already happening. Outside the ship, ancient structures lined the rock-old mining shafts long abandoned. Somewhere deep in this hollow planet lay a Node 1 last secure signal station built by rebels who had died long ago. If they could reach it, the memory core from Zarnik's armor could be broadcast to the right people. Maybe even enough to stop Project Black Core before it was too late. But they weren't alone. Raiden heard it before Kale said it, the hum. It wasn't the ship. It was something else fast, mechanical, alive. Kale's eyes narrowed. Drones again. They're using burrowers now. Raiden leaned closer to the screen. Silver serpents, half machine and half organic, raced through the tunnel behind them, grinding through rock like water through sand. They didn't need wings. They had claws. And weapons. Raiden grabbed a manual turret lever and activated the rear cannon. I've got them, you better, Kale said, 'cause there's no other way out. The ship dived through a narrow pass. Raiden aimed, fired, and hit one drone square in its core. It exploded with a shriek of metal, but 2 more took its place. They were evolving, smarter, learning his timing. Kale shouted, hold them back just a little longer. Raiden gritted his teeth. I'm trying. One of the burrowers latched onto the hull. Sparks shot across the ship's side. Kale's console screamed with alerts. Raiden twisted the turret and hit it point blank. The drone shattered, but a hole had already been ripped open in the rear chamber. Red lights blinked. Oxygen leaked. Kale jerked the ship sideways, grinding through rock on purpose to crush the last 2 drones against the tunnel walls. Metals screamed. The ship groaned, but it worked. Silence returned. Smoke filled the cabin. Kale coughed hard, waving it away. "We're here." Raiden looked out the cracked window. The tunnel opened into a massive underground cavern, glowing faintly with geothermal light. In the center stood a tall black tower, weathered, covered in dust and wires, but still alive. The node. Kale landed the ship beside it, her hands shaking from the tension. "Let's go. We don't have much time." Raiden followed her down the ramp. The air was thicker here, warmer. The cavern had been untouched for years. Fungal moss glowed along the walls. Old rebel flags hung in pieces, forgotten. Inside the node station, everything was dark, except one terminal still glowing faintly. Kale ran her hand across the console. Old tech, no AI, no trackers. Perfect for this kind of upload. Raiden connected his helmet to the interface. "Do it." Data stream activated. Zarnok's memory core began transferring to hidden channels, buried networks once used by outlaws, smugglers, and forgotten fighters. But before it finished, a quiet voice echoed from the shadows. "I wouldn't do that." Raiden spun. Weapon. Raised, a figure stepped out, calm, confident, unarmed. A man in a gray uniform, with silver lines on his collar. His face was clean, his eyes sharp, too calm for someone underground. Raiden's pulse jumped. "How did you find us?" The man didn't blink. "You're not the only one Zarnok trusted." Kale stepped forward. "That's impossible." "We secured every he reached out before he died," the man said. "Sent a second data key. One that leads not to truth, but to doubt." Raiden felt cold. "Who are you?" The man smiled. "Someone who believes peace must survive. If truth doesn't..." He looked at the console where the upload bar was almost full. "Turn it off," he said softly, "before it's too late." Kale raised her rifle. "You're outnumbered." The man didn't move. My footsteps? Two more soldiers stepped into the room from a side tunnel. One human, one alien. Not Zelvac, but from another species. Quiet, professional, armed. Raiden realized what was happening. "You're not enemies," he said slowly. "You're the ones who built it." The man nodded. "We maintained it. We refined it. We made it so perfect. No one even noticed their freedom was gone." Kale whispered, "You monsters." He stepped forward. "You don't understand. Without Black Core, chaos wins. Borders burn. Races go extinct. Do you want another galactic? War? Or do you want unity even if it's artificial?" Raiden's voice was tight. "Freedom matters. Choice matters." The man's voice was lower now. "Then you'll watch the stars fall again. Billions will die. For your precious truth." The upload beeped. 100%. Too late. The signal was gone, transmitted to every dark channel in the system. The man sighed. "Then I hope you're ready to run." An explosion rocked the cavern. The backup drones had arrived. They weren't quiet anymore. Kale grabbed Raiden's arm. "Move now." As they ran back to the ship, fire rained from the tunnel mouth. The other soldiers disappeared in the chaos. The man in the gray uniform stood still, watching the tower burn as the galaxy's secret unraveled above him. Inside the ship, Raiden slammed the doors. Kale lifted off through falling debris, through fire, through the storm rising from the planet's core. Above them, stars had already begun to shift. Something was changing, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The truth didn't echo across the galaxy. It exploded. Within 24 hours of the signal's release, silent comms lit up across dozens of systems. Pirate networks, rebel channels, restricted military frequencies, every corner of deep space buzzed with the same impossible file. Secret experiments, video logs, weapon schematics, Zarnok's full testimony. It couldn't be ignored anymore. Project Black Core was real, and someone had just told the galaxy. Raiden watched it all unfold. From a quiet outpost hidden inside the rings of a gas giant, the place was cold, forgotten, a station with broken lights and humming walls. He stood beside a foggy window, helmet in his hands, eyes on the stars. The last few days felt like a blur. Zarnok's voice, distorted but unmistakable, played on every looped message now. Peace without freedom is not peace. It is programming. Now, the chaos had begun. Protests on the mining moons, military bases locked down, civilian outposts declaring independence. Some planets called it a lie. Others called it proof. Governments scrambled to deny everything while secretly activating old war fleets. Just in case, even Raiden's old unit had gone dark. They weren't searching for truth. They were hunting him. Behind him, Kale entered the observation deck too, steaming cups in her hands. "It's official," she said. "They've labeled us instigators of galactic instability. We're heroes now." Raiden didn't smile. "Feels like a slow-motion war." Kale handed him a cup. "That's because it is." They stood in silence. The stars twinkled like tiny lyres. Rayden finally spoke. "The man in the node, the one who tried to stop. The upload. He wasn't military, was he?" Kale shook her head. Or he was council intelligence. The kind of guy who doesn't exist on paper but signs orders no one ever sees. Raiden exhaled sharply. "Said something before we ran. Something about peace through obedience. That it would save more lives." Kale sipped her drink. "Every tyrant believes they're a healer. Doesn't make the cure worth the price." Before Raiden could respond, the lights in the station flickered. His wrist AI buzzed. "Encrypted call request," it said. "From ID, Echo Signal 217. Kale's eyes widened. "Echo channels. That's resistance code." Raiden accepted the call. The screen on the wall lit up. A woman's face appeared Dalian, sharp-featured, with long silver hair and tired violet eyes. She wore no uniform, just a plain tunic and a scar that crossed her forehead. "I know who you are," she said. "And I know what you've done." Raiden nodded. "You've seen the data?" She didn't blink. "We all have. And now everyone's choosing sides." Raiden leaned forward. "Which one are you on?" She looked down, then back at him. "The one that doesn't want to be turned into a programmable citizen." Kale cut in. "Then help us. We need allies, ships, networks that still work." Woman nodded slowly. "I'll send you coordinates, but there's a condition." Raiden's voice tightened. "Of course there is. You have to bring the original memory core, not the copy. Not the stream, the source." Kale froze. Raiden narrowed his eyes. "Why?" The woman didn't flinch, "'Cause copies can be tampered with. If we're going to prove this in front of the Galactic Assembly, we need undeniable evidence." Raiden thought about Zarnak, his sacrifice, his last request run. Now they wanted to put his soul on a stage. "We'll consider it," Kale said before Raiden could answer. The screen went dark. Raiden turned to her. "You don't trust her?" Kale shrugged. "I don't trust anyone anymore. Shouldn't. Either." Later that night, Raiden sat alone in the old station's storage bay. The armor Zarnak shattered. Burned shell was sealed in a crate beside him, still humming, still alive in some way. The memory core inside pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. He opened it. There was no faceplate. No voice. Just silence. But looking into that dark, cracked armor, Raiden felt something watching him. He whispered, "What would you have done, Zarnak? Would you let them use your death to win a war?" No answer came. Just the faint, steady blink of a pulsing core. Behind him, Kale entered quietly. She didn't ask what he was doing. She already knew. She knelt beside the armor and touched it gently. "You'd think he'd want to be used as a symbol?" Raiden's jaw tightened. No, but he wanted it to matter. Kale stood. "We leave at sunrise. If we do this, we do it all the way." Raiden nodded. But something in his gut twisted. Everyone was watching now. Every decision was fuel. One wrong move, and the war would tip the wrong direction. The council wasn't retreating. They were building something else. Something faster than Black Core. Something Zarnak never saw. Raiden looked out the window one last time, and somewhere beyond the stars, a red sun began to rise, dim, quiet, and waiting. The chamber was unlike anything Raiden had seen before. It floated at the center of a neutral orbit station above the planet. Varaxis Prime, the site chosen for the emergency session of the Galactic Assembly, a place where leaders came not to agree, but to argue without bullets. Hundreds of voices echoed through a vast glass dome. Humans, aliens, artificial diplomats, all gathered in tiers of floating platforms. Facing the center, a circular stage under pale blue light, Raiden stood at the edge of that stage, silent. Beside him was the case. Inside, Zarnak's memory. Corey felt every eye on him, some filled with hope, others with hatred, many with fear. Kale stood nearby, arms crossed, unreadable as always. The woman from the Resistance, the one who had demanded the original data, waited in her own delegate platform. Her silver eyes locked onto Rayden, behind layers of security glass. The council watched from their high seat unmoving. Their robes shimmered with symbols of peace. But Raiden knew the truth. Beneath those robes were hands that had programmed silence, built obedience, and killed Zarnak for discovering it. A synthesized voice spoke through the dome. "You are recognized. So, Soldier Raiden Solus, you stand here. As witness to crimes not proven, present your truth." Raiden didn't move for a moment, then slowly he stepped forward. He placed the memory core onto the activation pedestal. It hissed softly, scanning, verifying. Lights blinked. Security protocols passed. Then Zarnak's voice returned, distorted, deep, but unmistakable. To those who still think, still question. "Listen to me." Across the dome, the footage began to play live, raw, unedited. 1,000 delegates watched silently as they saw their worst fears unfold. Secret experiments, neural override, the test of a prototype on a captured rebel squad screaming. One moment, robotic the next. And above it all, calm voices giving orders. Activate Wave Pulse Alpha. Confirm compliance. No memory residue detected. Then came the part that no one expected. A hidden chamber. A round table of human generals, Zelvac tacticians, and artificial leaders meeting in secret. Discussing the rollout of Phase 2, planetary scale. Broadcasts, it wasn't just a human project. It was interspecies collusion. The council had known, it all known. Chaos broke out. Delegates screamed. Arguments ignited instantly. Some began calling for trials. Others demanded emergency control over the pulse towers. On one level, a squad of guards tried to disconnect. The Corbut were stopped by a surge of resistance officials. Raiden didn't speak. He let Zarnak finish speaking. "I am not your enemy. I am not your savior. I was a soldier. I chose to question. Now you must choose what to become." When the recording ended, silence returned. Real silence, not fear, not obedience. Just thought. Then the voice from the high platform spoke again, this time with strain. "The Assembly will vote on the motion to decommission all active neural control technology and disband Phase 2 permanently." Cheers erupted from some, cheers from others. But then, something shifted. Raiden's AI pinged in his helmet. Unregistered energy spike. Sector 3. Level 9. Kale turned, eyes wide. "That's internal." Another message. Unauthorized signal. BROADCAST detected. Raiden froze. "They're doing it now." Kale ran toward the control station. "They're activating a new system. Not Black Core. Something worse."
What?
Suddenly, the lights in the dome flickered. Then turned red. Delegates froze mid-sentence, some clutching their heads. Others just stopped moving, eyes blank, posture stiff. Kale hit the manual override console. "It's not the original wave, it's a precision pulse. They're targeting only the decision-makers." Raiden looked toward the high platform, 3 council. Members had already gone still. One of them slowly raised a hand, mechanical, perfect, and said in a flat voice, "We do not accept the motion." The room erupted. Weapons were drawn. Raiden leapt onto the pedestal, yanked the memory core, and shouted into the emergency broadcast mic. "To anyone still listening, this isn't over. The truth's been shown. If you can hear me, resist. Think, Fight. Kale pulled him down just as a blast tore through the sidewall. Smoke, panic, sirens. A resistance dropship smashed through the upper dome, lowering cables. Fighters rappelled down, grabbing Raiden and Kale. They rose into the sky as security drones chased them from behind. Below them, the chamber fell into chaos. Zarnik's message had broken the silence, but now came the harder part, living with it, outside. The station, ships broke formation. Some turned toward the Council's fleet. Others began to fire. A war wasn't coming, it had already begun. Hours later, far from the system, Raiden sat alone in the dropship's lower bay, staring at the core again. Its light was dim now, almost out. Kale joined him, quiet. He died for this, Raiden said, and they're still trying to bury it. Kale nodded. That's how truth works. It doesn't win in a day, but it never stops. Raiden turned to her. What now? She gave a small smile. Now we build something better. While they burn everything down trying to stop us. The dropship disappeared into the stars, and somewhere in the dark, above a fractured galaxy, Zarnik's final words echoed on an old, rebel frequency. They left me because I knew the truth, but the truth always survives. Even when we don't.